Expectations are certainly a hideous bitch goddess, ain't they? The thing about expecting a certain outcome is that it relies exclusively on the individual doing the expecting. No basis in fact or in reality can overpower a person's bias, preconception, or prejudice. Even when your expectations are on the sunny, fluffy bunny side, it stands that it's constructed purely within your goopy brain stew, on your volition. We talk about 2 different horrid, full family plus a couple non-kin thrown in for extra measure slaughters on this episode. I encourage every expectation you can muster. Load every chamber in your expectation pea shooter. Do so even though I tell you right now that each and every expectation bullet will miss the mark. Because there is no mark. But just because you can't technically aim for what you can't see doesn't make the practice of mechanical familiarity.
And all of your mamas. Good evening.
A hi-ya to you, sir.
Right back at you.
You ever wear hi-ya karate?
Absolutely not.
You ever been around and or smelled someone wearing hi-ya karate?
Possibly, but I'm pretty sure I was too young to know what atrocity was being dealt to my nose.
If you knew me in elementary school when I was a very lazy and took no baths, yet a very insecure about my smell at school, you would have smelled me wearing some hi-ya karate.
I think that makes my night to imagine Jason in the mirror as a kid, like getting out of the shower, combing his hair.
No, I just said it didn't take showers.
No?
I literally, as far as maybe even up until like high school, I wore whatever the fuck my dad left at the house when he left to go to jail when he was in jail when I was born. And then my mom divorced him when I was 8 days old while he was in prison. And ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, I'm here.
So you had what, like some Drakkar Noir, some Stetsons?
Oh, no. See, the Drakkar Noir was stolen from my older brother Billy, who is 12 years older than I am.
Who also stinks, apparently.
Oh, come on now. That stuff, not bad. I also, what?
Smells like the shoe aisle in a Kmart.
Okay, it's not that bad if you don't douse yourself in it.
No, it smells like the shoe aisle in a Kmart in Yugoslavia.
Yeah, if you could, well, I was about to say if you could find a Kmart, but probably in Yugoslavia, you probably could. People in Yugoslavia, let us know at see no hear no speak no pod at gmail.com or Christopher
SNHNSNPOD@gmail.com. And no offense there, Yugoslavia. I was just trying to come up with a weird Avia country name to throw out there. And you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm just saying. Like,
what about Transylvania?
The disco. It smells like the disco, yeah?
I imagine the entirety of Yugoslavia to smell like a disco, yes.
I'm going to have you all revert to my opening statement, your mamas, and then we'll go ahead and continue with this episode.
I think we can continue with, this is another Yo Mama episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Complete, packed full to the brim with UFOs, conspiracies, and and moitas. However, I will say, um, yeah, although I had, the Eeyore going on because I'm just really annoyed that I'm not making
Mm-hmm.
money right this second. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to be back. I appreciate the fact that
That's
life
right.
happenings
That's
can occur and put me out of commission damn near for fuck, man. It was not supposed to take this long, and I apologize to the kiddies as well as to you there, Jason. It's really annoying.
believe it or not, we are almost goddamn on time. If I can get this episode out within the next maybe 2 days, we
Hmm.
are pretty on time. Especially seeing as how the kiddies got 8 motherfucking episodes last month. As many as they may have been, and as many in size as they may have been, they still fucking took time out of my day to produce, you sons of bitches.
They did, and you did good. 8 is pretty impressive, sir.
So we're gonna go ahead and hit the restart button tonight. We are going back to the me, then Chi-Chi, then I, then Christopher, then good old Evil J Dizzle, and Chris Trismegistus III.com / old lady titties .au. Why is there a .com and a .au? It's a domain thing. We'll get back to it.
I don't argue with my IT guy.
No, you never argue with your IT guy.
No.
Your IT guy is effectively God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You all would be better to realize that and kiss his feet. Kiss his unwashed, sandaled, with socked feet as they walk through your door
See?
with the
See?
Who Sharded shirt on.
Right. And please, before you call them, just turn it off and turn it back on again. See if
That's
that
right.
works.
And no, just because no one uses CDs anymore, your computer's still going to come with a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM or a
Burner. Yeah.
blah blah blah. Just because we don't use them anymore does not mean you can use it as a fucking cup holder. If that tray breaks, so does your fucking computer. It sounds unfair, but in reality, you're just stupid.
No, I think what it is that people need to just stop trying to fucking make their own rules out of shit that was not created by them. Like, you can't just do whatever you want, whenever you want, man. I mean, fuck off.
I mean,
Just fuck
in a
off my
perfect
planet.
world,
I'm
you
done with
can.
that shit. I'm done with it.
But also, it just don't affect other people with your retardedness,
Well,
and let's all live happily ever. Let's just forever live happy.
how about we make that rule number 2 for life altogether? Whereas rule number 1
Okay.
is treat other people how you want to be treated. Rule number 2
Right.
is and don't affect other people with your retardation.
Indeed,
Fucking
indeed.
ridiculousness.
And rule number 3: fuck the Germans.
Oh, no, the Germans give me the schnitzel. It's the French Canadians that do nothing for me.
That's right. And also, fuck you, French Canada. Fuck you, French Canada.
Minus Monk, though. Minus Monk. She's cool. We'll let her slide.
Fuck you. Hey, just because her genealogy originates partly from there does not mean we have to kiss its ass.
Fair enough. We'll let 3/4 of her slide.
I have to jump into tonight's episode because if I don't, it's going to go long. There's no way there's going to be 2, but if we don't jump in, it's going to be long. We're going to have fun still, but it's going to be long. So,
Fine.
tonight, you get a Tuesday twofer, as very bad radio disc jockeys would say.
Minus the tacos.
No, it's a Tuesday taco twofer.
Oh.
For people named Topher, which is just that guy that was on that 70s show. Not a single other person on this planet is named Topher. I've done the research.
I've never heard of another person in my life named Topher.
No, I've never met a Topher. Melissa, ever met a Topher? Nope.
Nope.
That's right, Topher Grace. We're calling you out.
I think your stage name is made up and bullshit.
I think it is a stage name. I think it's like what's his name? Christopher Reeves You've never met anybody named that. And you know what's funny? Pulled that name out of my ass. Melissa has actually dated a dude named Christopher motherfucking Reeves.
Wow.
No bullshit. His name was Christopher Reeves.
That is...
He is on her Facebook.
I think that right there is the definition of irony. That is ironic as hell.
Don't you think? A little too ironic. I really do think. So tonight's episode, being a Tuesday grab bag 2 for Taco Topher Wednesday, is about a little known place called Villica. Part 1. Part 2, a littler known place known as, this is all just very bad, Hinterkaifeck, which we are in the good old USA for part 1. And then for part 2, we go to the Germany. It works, Chris. For fuck's sake, it works. So, I'll begin the Villica portion of this show by saying the Moore family consisted of parents Josiah and Sarah. They lived in 1912. You know?
Never met a Josiah either, but whatever. Jason.
I think that's more a product of the time than anything else, you know?
I think it's a stupid stage name.
I think it's a stupid stage name, too. Goddamn Hollywood actors. So, Josiah and Sarah Moore. Moore. Just give me some more.
Newer.
Busta! And their 4 children, who went by the names as followed. Herman Montgomery, who was 11. Mary Catherine, who was 10. Arthur Boyd, who was 7. And Paul Vernon, who was itty-bitty 5.
Arthur Boyd. That's awful.
Yeah. Arthur Boyd. Boyd Arthur. You know what? If it was the other way around, it would be cooler, but harder to say.
They had no flair for the flow or having a nice ring to any of these names at all.
Well, when you literally have to get every single name for your family out of the Bible, it gets a little hard. They were an affluent family, right? They were well known and well liked. Which, I mean, it was 1912. How hard is it to be well known and well liked in a community of 10 people?
Yeah.
You just have to not wake up every day and slap your wife and piss on the mailman, I guess.
But in that time, I think you were allowed to do so if you wanted.
Well, I mean, legally, that's what the rule of thumb is about, actually. On June 9th, 1912, the 11-year-old Mary Catherine Moore had invited Ina May, that is I-N-A, May, M-A-E, who was 8 years old, and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, who was 12, to spend the night at the residence, at their home. That evening, the visiting girls and the Moore family had attended the Presbyterian Church, where they participated in the Children's Day program, which Sarah Moore was the one that put it on. She coordinated it. And after it ended at 9:30 p.m., the Moores and the Stillinger sisters walked to the Moores' house, arriving between 9:45 and 10 p.m., which really, for leaving a church affair, I think that's a little late. I think they were up to something, Chris.
I think God was up to something that night because, yeah, that's entirely too late. Who the fuck?
God is up to something every night, Chris.
No doubt about that. But who the fuck
wants
to spend their entire night, day and night or whatever? Fuck, never mind. I know there's tons of people, and that just disturbs me. But continue.
Okay, you and I will say, if it's the Church of Satan, then maybe. Just for shits and gigs, you know?
Yeah, for shits and gigs, and just, it's kind of like, in that scenario, I think I would be more the more of like my club personality, where like I'll just sit back with a drink and watch and laugh and people, and that's pretty much what
Yeah,
I
it's
would
people
do.
watching.
And yeah,
Yeah, people watching.
but in real church, I'm like I'm doing that too, but in more of the way of like wanting to destroy everyone and rip my skin off.
Okay, Pooh. At 7 a.m. the next day, Mary Peckham, who is the Moore's neighbor, started to become a little concerned after she noticed that the Moore family hadn't come out to do their morning chores. She knocked on their door because she was a fucking busybody, but then when nobody answered, she tried to open the door and discovered that it was locked. Well,
You don't say.
she proceeded to let their chickens out, and she called Ross Moore, who was Josiah's brother. And like Peckham, he received no response when he knocked on the door, and he shouted. He unlocked the front door with his copy of the house key. And while the next door neighbor lady stood on the porch, the brother went into the parlor and opened the guest bedroom door. When he opened it, that is where he found Ina and Lena Stillinger's bodies on the bed.
Oh.
Moore immediately told Peckham to call Hank Horton, who was Villica's primary peace officer, who arrived shortly thereafter.
Good old Hank Horton.
Hank Horton.
Know just what to do.
Hank Horton, at your service, sir.
He's gonna show up with a cigar and a big ass hat and some aviator
And
sunglasses.
he's always, somehow, just a little drunk.
Yeah, just a little.
Just
drunk.
a little. Like, just enough to make you feel uncomfortable about him doing police work and carrying a gun.
And the whole time, his panties are in a bunch, hoping he doesn't have to call in Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, I think that I could maybe just take a look around the house by myself. You know, I won't touch nothing. You fine folks just wait on the porch. Oh my God, there's lots of bodies in here.
See, Tommy Lee Jones would never, ever act like that.
Oh no. Tommy Lee Jones would walk in and he would fucking mean mug those dead bodies into telling him what the fuck happened.
He would call everybody Cupcake.
Cupcake, oh God. The peace officer's search of the house revealed that the entire Moore family and the two Stillinger girls had been bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon was an axe belonging to Josiah.
So, to bludgeon someone with an axe, he basically, whoever did this.
The backside.
Okay, so it was Axeman style? Okay.
Yes. Because apparently the wedge part of the axe is too good for people? I don't know.
That's what yeah.
If I was going to kill somebody with an axe, they're catching the wedge.
For real. I mean, one and
done. They're
done,
catching the wedge in the dome, and then I'm going about my day whistling just the finest tune of happiness.
Yeah.
Which is
probably
probably the extremely racist Zippity Doodah.
That's my jam, though.
So the murder weapon was an axe belonging to Josiah, and it was found in the guest room where the Stillinger sisters were found. Doctors had concluded that the murders had taken place between midnight and 5 a.m. They had found 2 spent cigarettes in the attic, which suggested that the killer or killers patiently waited in the attic until the Moore family and the Stillingers were there and asleep. The killer, maybe / killers, they began in the master bedroom where Josiah and Sarah Moore were sleeping. Josiah received more blows from the axe than any other victim. His face had been cut to such an extent that his eyes were missing.
Oof.
He was the only one that the killers used the blade of the axe on. They proceeded into the children's rooms and bludgeoned Herman, Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, all in the head in the same manner as their parents.
Wow.
They returned once again to the master bedroom to inflict more blows on the parents, which, in the process of, they ended up knocking over a shoe that had filled with blood, before moving downstairs to the guest bedroom, where they killed Ina and Lena. Investigators believe that all of the victims except for Lena Stillinger had been asleep when murdered. They thought that she was awake and tried to fight back, as she was found lying crosswise on the bed and with a defensive wound on her arm. Lena's nightgown was pushed up to her waist, and she was wearing no undergarments, leading to law enforcement speculation that the killer/killers sexually molested her, or at least attempted to do so.
So everybody else was just laying in their bed and caught it?
Every single person that was murdered that night just fucking laid there and caught it, yes.
What, was there some kind of fucking crazy sleep spell on the house or something?
It gets freakier.
How does
like,
that
just hold
happen?
on. Because I mean, even after knowing everything, I still fucking wonder the same goddamn thing. So over time, there were a whole lot of fucking suspects, including Reverend George Kelly,
Damn.
as well as Frank F. Jones, William Mansfield, Loving Mitchell, and Henry
William
Lee
fucking
Moore.
Mansfield? That son of a bitch. Continue.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised you didn't latch on to Loving Mitchell. His name is Loving. Loving. Loving Mitchell.
Wow.
His parents were like, "Oh, look at our beautiful new baby boy. What should we call him?" "Well, we love him, don't we?" "We sure do." "Well, why don't we just call him Loving then?"
We're going to call him a present tense verb.
I love it. I loving it. Never forget. So
I took the mic away from my face for that, by the way.
I'm fine with that. That's fine. You don't have to reference it every time you do it.
I'm gonna
or do whatever.
These nuts.
People probably dig it.
Moment.
So George Kelly, who was the Reverend, was actually tried twice for the murder. The first one ended in a hung jury, while the second trial ended in an acquittal.
Why the Reverend exactly? Twice? The Reverend?
We'll get to it, and it's fun. So first up is Andrew Sawyer. Every transient and otherwise unaccounted for stranger was a suspect in the murders, as you would expect in such a small town. One such suspect was a man named Andy Sawyer. No real evidence linked him to the crime, but his name came up often in grand jury testimonies. According to Thomas Dyer of Burlington, a bridge foreman and pile driver for the Burlington Railroad, he said that Sawyer approached his crew in Creston at 6 a.m. on the morning of the murders, on the morning that the murders were discovered, and he was clean-shaven and wearing a brown suit when he arrived. His shoes were covered in mud, and his pants were wet nearly to the knees. He had asked him for employment, and as Dyer needed the help of an extra man, he was given a job on the spot. While Dyer later testified that later that evening, when they reached Fontanelle, Iowa, Sawyer purchased a newspaper and went off by himself to read it. The newspaper carried a front-page account of the Villica murders, and according to Dyer, Sawyer was much interested in it. Dyer's crew complained that Sawyer slept with his clothes on and was anxious to be by himself. They were also uneasy that Sawyer slept with his axe next to him. He often talked about the Villica murders and whether or not a killer had been apprehended. He reportedly told Dyer that he had been in Villica that Sunday night and had heard of the murders. Afraid of being taken as a suspect, he had left and gone to Creston. Dyer was suspicious and turned him over to the sheriff on June 18, 1912. Dyer later testified that prior to the sheriff's arrival, he walked up behind Sawyer. He was rubbing his head with both hands and suddenly jumped up and said to himself, "I will cut your goddamn heads off." At the same time, he made striking motions with the axe and began hitting the piles in front of him.
Yeah. Sorry. I just totally
yes, that is the sound he made.
The robot.
Absolutely.
From Futurama. It's my favorite.
Yes. Instead of stabbing, though, he's axing. Oh, God, is he ever axing?
I'm feeling real stabby.
Dyer's son, J.R., had testified that one day, as the crew drove through Villica, Sawyer told him he would show J.R. where the man who killed the Moore family got out of town. He said the man that did the job jumped over a manure box, which he pointed out about 1.5 blocks away.
and then he showed where he crossed the railroad tracks. JR said there were footprints in the soggy ground north of the embankment. Sawyer told JR to look on the other side of the car and said he would show him an old tree where the murderer stepped into the creek. According to JR, he looked over and saw such a tree south of the track 4 blocks away. But Sawyer was dismissed as a suspect in the case when officials learned that he could totally prove that he had been in Osceola? A-S-C-E-O-L-A. Osceola? Sure. Iowa, on the night of the murders. He had been arrested for vagrancy there, and the sheriff recalled putting him on a train to send him away approximately 11 p.m. that evening.
Well, that was nice of him.
So as fucked up and crazy as this dude was, he couldn't have been. He just basically couldn't have been.
Interesting.
So, we will now talk about the Honorable Reverend George Kelly.
I never understood titles that end in A-B-L-E. Like, because if I understand the English language correctly enough and prefixes and suffixes as they're supposed to be used, words like that don't make any fucking sense to me. Because it's like,
well,
you're able to be honored, sure. I'm not going to be the one to do it, but whatever. You know?
Well, I mean, someone higher and holier than thou and we is the one that bestowed that to him. And we will not be taking it away. Although I said the honorably, or honorable, whatever the fuck I said that, and it's not written here. It's just Reverend George Kelly. I was just trying to be smart-ass.
I was just making a statement about also being a smart-ass, but also being true. Like, that's how I really feel about, titles that have the suffix A-B-L-E.
I hear you, man.
That's a factual statement in the mind of Chris.
Well, you want to hear about the George Kelly, the Reverend, the man of God. So he was an English-born traveling minister who was in town on the night of the murders. He was described as peculiar, reportedly having suffered a mental breakdown as an adolescent.
So having a supposedly omnipotent imaginary friend wasn't peculiar enough to begin with, huh? Okay.
That is the weirdest part of it all. As an adult, he was accused of peeping and several times asking young women and girls to pose nude for him.
You don't say.
On June 8th...
No, continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off there.
No, please.
Feigning surprise, that's all. Continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is a bit weird. Like you would expect to hear that or whatever. So, on June 8th, 1912, he came to Villica to teach at the Children's Day service, which the Moore family attended and had basically put on June 9th, 1912. He left town between 5 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. Then on June 10th, 1912, hours before the bodies were discovered, Reverend Kelly had confessed to the murders in court, but the jury didn't believe his confession.
The fuck?
In the weeks that followed, he displayed a fascination with the case and wrote many letters to the police, also investigators, and family of the deceased, which, surprise, aroused suspicion, and a private investigator wrote back to the Reverend asking for details that he might know about the murders. Well, Kelly replied with great detail, claiming to have heard sounds and possibly witnessed the murders. His known mental illness made authorities question whether he knew the details because of having committed the murders or was just imagining his account. In 1914...
Whack.
In 1914, 2 years after the murders, he was arrested for sending obscene material through the mail. He was sexually harassing a woman who applied for a job as his secretary. He was sent to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, the National Mental Health Hospital in Washington, D.C., where investigators speculated again that Kelly could be the murderer of the Moore family. Well, in 1917, he was again arrested for the Villica murders, and police obtained a confession from him. However, it followed lots and many and whole bunches of hours of interrogation, and Kelly later recanted, and after 2 separate trials, he was acquitted.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so he...
I have no
the
words.
the fact that he was nuts a bit led to maybe him getting off scot-free?
Excuse me.
Maybe.
Maybe? Eh,
Maybe.
mm.
Hey, Chris.
That guy's weird. Yes.
That guy is weird. I have to take one of my 7 allotted Zach Morris timeouts. You ready?
Uh-oh. Continue. Yes.
Completely awake and now worried about my mother. So that'll be good while we talk about these family murders. May I rejoin us back into the show?
Yep. Last drag.
Okay, well, so time in. Where we excuse me, sorry. That was I had a frog in my throat, and that should teach me to stop swallowing frogs.
There's no excuse.
Where we last,
and you know that
fucking motherfucker. There never will be.
Mm-mm.
And if someone could come up with one just so I could use it with the police, that would be great.
No,
where we left off.
Real quick,
No,
I already
go ahead.
explained the difference, though, between the an excuse and a reason. The only difference is
Right.
whoever you're telling, whether or not they believe you. If they don't believe you, then it's just quote unquote an excuse. But that's still an incorrect
Right.
use of the word. Technically, an excuse and a reason are the same fucking thing, and they both do. Well, an excuse excuses you, technically. It's not bullshit. It's true. And the reason is just the reason, period. It just is. So there's always a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is the listener who decides whether an excuse is an explanation or not. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Mm-hmm. So we'll
and
I just got for being, but your excuse is not going to fly.
I know I told Chi-Chi, but I didn't make it known to the world at large that once again, not that it happens all the time or something, but Melissa and I are house sitting for her good friend Kelly, and I am out recording on the back porch as I did our Halloween show with the propane fire pit that I put together last night, a roaring, which really would have helped more on the Halloween show because it's muggy and shitty out here tonight. But Melissa just walked back out on the on the porch and gave me the everything's it's okay, like the so-so hand. So I'll wait to find out what the fuck that means after the show.
Okay.
But that puts my mind at ease a bit.
Yeah, that'd be good news.
So where we left off before the Zach Morris timeout was with R. Kelly, better known as Reverend Kelly if you're nasty. Reverend George Kelly, if you're insane. Who had twice admitted to the wholesale slaughter of a whole fucking family plus 2. But, you know, shit happens. If you're crazy, people sometimes don't believe the shit you say.
But it's
that easy.
Still allow you to be an ordained fucking minister, apparently.
Hey, man, all you have to do is sign on to a website and pay a fee, and you can print out your own thing. So, Frank F. Jones is up next.
F. Jones.
In our... Yep. A F squared is what he went as in math circles and in math squares at that.
Potheads does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many potheads does it take to screw in a light bulb?
two. One to twist it, one to light it.
Ooh, I like it. One to twist it, one to light it. We have ourselves an end of the episode sting.
It's not even funny.
It's bad. It's stupid.
I know.
Did you just make it up?
No, that was the only one that I knew.
That's an established joke that you heard somewhere else and kept in your head.
Yes.
Wow.
All right then.
That's pretty special.
All right.
So back to Frank Squared Jones.
Frank Squared.
Frank Fernando Jones was a Villica resident and an Iowa State motherfucking senator.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The plot thickens.
Right? That's a few rungs higher on the ladder than we expected any of these people to be.
No shit.
I mean, I assumed Reverend was the top of the stepping stool, but nay. Josiah Moore had at one time worked for Frank Jones at his implement store, which I'm guessing was a store that sold implements of a sort.
Implements?
Implements.
That's a rather general word, isn't it?
It is the etc. of farming. He worked there for a long fucking time before leaving to open his own store. Well, Moore reportedly had taken business away from Jones, including a very lucrative John Deere dealership, which I didn't know John Deere was around in 1912. Fuck me with a thing that has sex with people against their will.
Or a cocksaber.
Moore was rumored to have a sexual affair with Jones's daughter-in-law, though
Sorry, continue.
there's no evidence to support that. That's probably just salty tears in a saltwater swimming pool that's been overrun by a saltwater flood from a hurricane. It's just salty, is what I'm saying. Guy's jelly. He's salt-flavored jelly.
Need some lotion after that.
So, that's it for him, really. There's nothing tying him to it. We're just going through who the cops had spoken to. This last one, though, he's quite the doozy. Well, he's not the last one. There are there are three more, but this one's the doozy. This is William Mansfield.
Fucking William Mansfield. That son of a bitch.
You know what? So, another theory was that the state senator up there, Mr. F. Squared Jones, he had hired William Blackie Mansfield. That's right, Blackie.
Huh.
But he's a white guy. Let's throw that out there now. But you don't get the nickname Blackie for being the scrub-dub-dubbiest motherfucker around.
Was he a chimney sweep?
Let's go ahead and say at one point or another he was, in fact, a chimney sweep. Yes, Chris.
Okay, that works.
All right. So Senator Jones had hired a Blackie Mansfield to murder the Moore family. It's believed that Mansfield was, in fact, a serial killer because he murdered his wife, his infant child, and his parents-in-law with an axe 2 years after the Villica crimes.
What?
Right.
So
he's believed to have committed the... Huh?
Is it believed that he did that, or he did that?
No, he murdered his wife, his infant child, and his parent-in-laws.
Oh, so that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he did that for sure.
Wow.
He's believed to have committed the axe murders in Paloa, Kansas, 4 days before the Villica crimes.
What?
He was also suspected in the double homicide of Ginny Peterson and Ginny Miller in Illinois.
Is he a serial killer or a contract killer?
I think he just liked getting people named Ginny together, and he did as such, and they didn't get along, and he was like, you know what? let's start over again.
Well, this guy was fucking busy, dude. For the type of transportation that was available back in those days.
Well,
to travel from these places.
And the next sentence leads to that.
Oh.
Each crime site was accessible by train, and all murders were carried out in virtually the same manner.
That is impressive.
Mansfield was released after a special grand jury of Montgomery County refused to indict him on grounds that his alibi had checked out. 9 months before the murders at Villica, a similar case of axe murder occurred in Colorado Springs, Colorado. 2 axe murder cases followed in Ellsworth, Kansas, and Paloa, Kansas, as I said earlier. The cases were similar enough to raise the possibility of having been committed by the same person. Other murders reported as possibly being linked to these crimes included the numerous unsolved axe murders along the Southern Pacific Railroad from 1911 to 12, the unsolved Axeman of New Orleans killings, as well as other such murders during this time period.
I thought that was right around the same time period.
So, even though it holds no other part of the MO with the Axeman of New Orleans, I mean, this guy could technically maybe be, maybe the Axeman of New Orleans.
Huh. Wow.
I'm going to go ahead and say probably not, though.
Yeah, probably not.
There's nothing specifically to refute nor fucking, build up.
But still,
this
to hit
nothing.
people with the back of the axe, like specifically, that's.
I mean, it's neat.
Kind of a signature, right?
But the Axeman broke in the middle of the night, did it, left. He never fucking went in, hung around, waited. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. They never found cigarette butts or anything like that.
And I mean, he had done that so many fucking times in that exact way. Why change that one very important to him thing? I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So the murders in Colorado Springs were closely related to an execution, and those. The murders in Colorado Springs were closely related in execution to those in the Moore house. 9 months before the Villica murders, H.C. Wayne, his wife and child, and Mrs. A.J. Burnham were found dead in Colorado Springs, murdered by axes. The Colorado Springs police found it difficult to believe that the same person could perpetrate a similar crime in a city. As in the Villica murders, bed sheets were used to cover the windows to prevent passerbys from looking in. But at the Moore house, the murderer hung aprons and skirts to cover the windows, and he wiped the blood off of his axe, and he covered the heads of his victims with bedclothes in both. So Mansfield was also the prime suspect in the of the Burns Detective Agency of Kansas City, and Detective James Newton Wilkerson, who had suggested that he was a cocaine-addicted serial killer.
Oh.
Which, if you're gonna be a serial killer, might as well.
Might as well. Yeah.
According to contemporary news reports, Wilkerson believed that Mansfield was responsible for the axe murders of his wife, his infant child, his father-in-law, and mother-in-law in Blue Island, Illinois, on July 5th, 1914, which was 2 years after the Villica murders.
Fuck Blue Island, Illinois.
Yeah.
Continue.
The axe murders committed in Paola, Kansas, 4 days before the Villica murders.
Paola,
And the murders of Ginny Peterson and Ginny Miller in Aurora, Illinois. So, according to the Wilkerson's investigation, all of the murders were committed in precisely the same manner, indicating that the same man probably committed all of them. Wilkerson stated that he could prove that Mansfield was present in each of the differing crime scenes on the night of the murders. In each murder, the victims were hacked to death with an axe, and the mirrors in the homes were all covered. That's the creepiest fucking thing to me. The mirrors were all covered.
Well, it's a
burning lamp.
A certain type of psychosis that would probably be pretty easy to to spot or,
Oh, yeah.
or call out.
He's
some kind of
like-
way.
He's like, something's watching me through these fucking mirrors, and I gotta cover him up.
Yeah.
Or something's, I don't know, I don't know. Man, why do you cover mirrors? I don't fucking know, man. Mirrors are creepy things, though, don't you think?
They're pretty fucking cool, but yes.
I mean, as simple as they are, being a very highly polished fucking sheet of usually aluminum foil on a piece of cardboard with a piece of glass over it, is a very simple, very mechanical thing. But it's a backwards world in there.
It's super cool.
When I was a kid, I fucking hated mirrors.
I love
I'd have
watching
covered
them
them up
be
if I
made.
murdered people. Ugh.
You ever seen one be made? It's fucking awesome.
It is really neat. So, as well as all the mirrors being covered, a burning lamp with the chimney off was left at the foot of the bed, and a basin in which the murderer washed was found in the kitchen. In each case, the murderer avoided leaving fingerprints by wearing gloves, which Wilkerson believed was strong evidence that the man was, in fact, Mansfield.
And highly intelligent.
Who, yeah, because he knew that his fingerprints were on file at the federal military prison at Leavenworth.
He's going to be a wily one.
So Wilkerson managed to convince a grand jury to open an investigation in 1916, and Mansfield was arrested and brought to Montgomery County from Kansas City. Well, payroll records happened to provide an alibi that placed Mansfield in Illinois at the time of the Villica murders. So he was released for lack of evidence and later won a lawsuit that he brought against Wilkerson and was awarded $2,225.
Dang.
Well, Wilkerson believed that pressure from Jones resulted not only in Mansfield's release, but also in the subsequent arrest and trial of Reverend Kelly. R. Kelly, if you will.
Thank you, Love. You know we're nasty. But let's just say that. R. Kelly.
However, a man known as R.H. Thorpe, who was a restaurant owner from Shenandoah, Iowa, had identified Mansfield as the man that he saw the morning after the Villica murders boarding a train at Clarinda. This man said that he had walked from Villica, and if proven to be true, this testimony would disprove Mansfield's alibi. Furthermore, it was reported that Mrs. Vina Tompkins of Marshalltown was on her way to testify that she had heard 3 men in the woods plotting the murder of the Moore family a short time before the killings.
Huh, that's pretty specific.
That last little sentence really has nothing to do with anybody, I guess. It's just this lady fucking said that she heard 3 people plotting a murder, and it says she was on her way to testify, but which leads me to believe that she never had.
Right.
And I would also be led to believe that she had no idea who these men were.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. It seems.
Thanks,
oddly
Wikipedia.
specific. Like you heard them say the Moore family, did you? That's what you heard.
I really need to stop reading things that end in citation needed. So next, there's 2 more itty bitty little ones here. Next is Henry Lee Moore, who is of no relation to the murdered family, also named Moore. Henry Lee Moore was also a suspected serial killer who was convicted of the murder of his mother and grandmother several months after the murders in Villica, his weapon of choice being an axe. Before and after the murders in Villica, the very similar axe murders on his mother and grandmother were committed. This says several months after the murders, and then before and after the murders in Villica, what? Maybe he killed his mom before and then his grandma after. I don't know, but everything he did. You know what? It's 2 people, 2 different times, same MO, same everything.
It's not
I guess.
cereal.
Maybe cereal.
You know them.
Well, you know,
there's a reason.
You couldn't fill a bowl with it and have a fucking tasty breakfast, but it's
I mean, you could. You just have to clean it and bleach it. And get on a reciprocating saw or something like that.
So all of the murders that he did had similarities, leading to strong suspicion that some or all of the crimes were committed by an axe-murdering serial killer. And just like Black Mansfield, the axe-murdering Henry Moore could be considered a suspect in some of these slayings. And last, but certainly also the least, Sam Moyer. Poor Sam Moyer. Well, at the inquest, it was reported that Sam Moyer, who was also Josiah's brother-in-law, often had threatened to kill Josiah Moore. However, upon further investigation, Moyer's alibi cleared him of the crime.
No.
And that's it.
Are they trying to say that the dude with the alibi of the whole payroll thing, like that could be possibly false? Is that what I was understanding there? Because I think.
Yeah. So, I think our two best maybes are Reverend Kelly and Blackie Mansfield. I think those are the two best maybes. I do.
Because I think
I do happen to think
to imagine that somebody's not going to show up to pick up their paycheck. Like, especially if they don't know they're a suspect. Like, that's a pretty good alibi.
But back then, you could literally fucking have anybody do that, and it wouldn't have to necessarily be the guy who said he was doing it. You know what I mean?
True. Back then, you could do a lot of things, such as leave cigarette butts just laying wherever and never be caught.
Well, I was telling Melissa earlier about the Villica murders and how there were cigarette butts there. And she was about to ask me, well, why didn't they get DNA or something like that? And she was like, oh, wait, when was this? I was like, oh, 1912. She was like, oh, never mind.
Because you were born in the 80s, and it's always been a thing for us.
That's right. It's called CSI, motherfuckers.
Damn it.
Watch it.
Damn it, why wasn't I born earlier? I could have killed so many. Fuck.
Could have killed so many. Probably would have wussed out after one. Let's be real here.
Oh, yeah, we're not even going to get into that. I don't do blood or dead bodies. Fuck all that. No, if I'm going to kill you, it's either going to be from a long ways away where I don't have to deal with the aftermath, or if it's going to be up close, it's going to be a blind rage sort of thing. I mean, if
it's going to be, you parked in my fucking spot, die.
Guy. No, I don't think I don't think I could do the up close and personal sort of thing. Like,
I couldn't look somebody in the eye. I couldn't watch the life drain out of someone, no matter. I mean, unless it was like a baby Hitler or something.
Yeah, that would have to be.
That's just
a really strong.
I mean, that's just reason. So I could tell people what it looked like. Like, that's for like history's sake.
Yeah.
Just so I could let people know.
Nice.
Because I mean, what's the question on everybody's mind after Jason comes back from time traveling and has killed baby Hitler? It is, what was the look on his face? Give it to us, as they're all just like slowly unzipping their pants and just like getting a little way too randy. So Chris, so ends the shoulder shrugging part 1 of tonight's Tuesday tacos for everybody except for Chris. Twofer.
Well, that is some super shoulder shrugging shit that you got going on there, and I can appreciate the mystery involved.
Right.
I dig this.
The one explanation that I can have for it, other than I think it was either the Reverend or Blackie that did it, just because they seemed the most likely to be capable of it, is the explanation of, hey, it's 1912.
People kind of still just pretty much do whatever the fuck they want.
Fucking period. You could hide out in an attic and murder a whole family and sneak off before anybody knew better. And then, hey, guess what? I'm on a train.
Yep.
Catch me if you can.
See, and that was a time when, or still the time when, everybody drank and everybody was fucking, the wife took care of the kids
Oh, yeah.
and all that other cliched bullshit. But
Oh no, when you saw your pediatrician, he had a fucking highball glass in his hand and a goddamn cigarette in his mouth.
Oh yeah, and his little
And he
snuff
offered you some
container
when you
of
went in.
cocaine his fucking jacket pocket
Oh,
for sure. But
that's the
thing.
time I want to live in.
Oh yeah,
Right
Well,
there.
you know, as long as I could bring teeth like cleaning materials back from the future with me to stick it out over there, I'd be cool with it, I guess.
We got to get back from the future.
One of these days. One of these fucking days.
So yeah, that's kind of it. So we're gonna move on now to part 2 of this Thursday of the Damned, known as "Shut the fuck up, Chris, and let me continue."
Damn.
Wednesday,
Damn.
when it's actually Monday. Mondays, I hate them. So
Mondays.
in doing my research for the Villica axe murder house, or axe murders, whatever, I found something I knew even less about prior to my research, which are the the Hinterkaifeck murders in Germany.
Yay,
So, yay, schnitzel. Yay.
that's like my favorite thing the Germans do.
Okay, my favorite thing that Germans do are beer houses and Frauleins.
I mean, Frauleins are okay, I guess.
And the opening to that Stick song, the Thank you, Germany, for then in turn letting Offspring give me the worst fucking song I've ever heard.
Yeah. Hey, can we do a quick, really quick Zach Morris timeout for me now?
Zach Morris, time out.
Yeah, well, it's a 4-year
So-
lease, and then I have to pay a $36,000 balloon payment on the end if I want to actually own it.
Wait, you have to buy $36,000 worth of balloons?
Yes, and fill it up. Fill up
Oh.
the truck.
Holy shit, man. That sounds like a party that I want to be invited to.
I mean, it's a 53-foot trailer, 101 inches wide, so
Yeah.
I think we can.
What kind of
probably-
balloons, Chris?
I mean, $36,000 worth of them. You can pretty much choose whatever kind of fucking balloon you want.
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay.
Other than a hot air balloon.
The question actually is, are we? I mean, is this a helium party? Is it a nitrous party?
Nitrous. All
Is
the way,
it?
for sure.
It's nitrous all the way, as I expected fully. That night we will be doing the podcast with very deep voices. Zach Morris, big ass cell phone time in. So the Hinterkaifeck is actually a small town, a small farmstead. My mistake, which is situated between the Bavarian towns of Ingolstadt and Schroederbenhausen.
Ooh, where's the creamy donut filling?
I'm guessing it's closer to Schroederbenhausen,
Okay.
which is approximately 70 kilometers north of Munich. I don't know what kilometers and things like that are, so it's either really close or really far away.
Yeah, it's about 50 miles. It's not that far.
Well, the Hinterkaifeck was actually the scene of one of the most puzzling crimes in German history. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, which is goddamn near almost 10 years exactly to the Villica murders, the 6 inhabitants of the farm were killed with a mattock, which it's a pickaxe. Just a more proper name for a pickaxe.
Why?
Why?
Why do we have to have so many fucking names for everything?
So why is a pickaxe also a mattock?
Yeah.
Well, I think a pickaxe is a more layman descriptive term, and a mattock is an industry term. You know,
Like, if you went to the implement store, you'd ask for a Matic.
I see. I see. And is a small Matic not a Matic? Is it a something else? And then the bigger one is a something else? And then but they're all the same shape? But
I'm really, really hoping that there's an auto Matic.
oh my God.
That's right. That's right. As I keep telling Melissa, I'm a dad now. These things are going to happen. These things are going to come out of my mouth. Fucking deal with it.
Okay, Rob. Bring it.
So, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare compare me to Rob. I said I'm a father, not the leader of a pack.
Fucking troop or a goddamn. What do they call the
He's got
big groups of
a
monkeys?
basketball team? Yeah. It's a guy. Yeah, a giant group of monkeys is called a basketball team. No, okay. That sounded really racist. I did not mean it to.
Oh, man.
There's enough people on a basketball team, and I'm cutting that out of the show. Fuck you. You're the one that made it racist, not me.
Oh no, because when I said it, you said it, and at the same time.
Rob's got to murderer kids. He does.
Okay.
The six victims of the Hinterkaifeck happen to be the farmer Andreas Gruber. That's right. We've got a Gruber, people.
MacGruber.
And his wife, Kazilia. Their
kind of
widowed
cool name.
daughter. Yeah, I like Kazilia. And Jesus Christ. It's C and then A with the umlauts, then Zilia. I've got to be pronouncing that incorrectly, but that's the best you're going to get out of me. So Andreas and Kazilia Gruber, as well as their widowed daughter, Victoria Grable, and her two kids. Yes, I loved the movie MacGruber. Just as a quick aside, it was a good movie. It was ridiculous. The throat rips when Kid finds out that MacGruber can actually do things.
Yep.
Made me so happy, so happy. Just
like
effortless, effortless throat rips.
I just like the backflip he did from a sitting down position. Like that was, I think I rewound and watched that about 10 times.
And then you practiced it many and failed.
Oh my God, almost killed myself.
C'est la vie, Chris, which happens to mean either so is life or shut up and let me finish the story.
MacGruber.
That's right. Fart sound and then MacGruber yell is the correct response to that. So,
all I got. That's all you're getting out of me.
So her two kids, the first, who was 7 years old, was named after Grandmama, so Kazilia, and also a 2-year-old, Joseph, or Yosef. Probably not Yosef, probably Joseph. It's Yosef, even if it's like super German.
It's Yosef.
That's not like Jewy? Why are you yelling at me? God, these people were super German in 1922. I don't think they would name their child Yosef.
We're going to cut Jason out of the show this time. He is just...
We're going to have to cut Jason out of the show.
hell.
Jason is being very inadvertently racist, and I don't mean to be. Jason has had a drink and a half. It is not racist Jason drinking time.
Oh, man.
So added along to the family, which is now at 5, was the brand new maid, Maria Baumgartner. That's right, Baumgartner.
Wow.
Which is German for ass garden.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. It's too inviting.
I made Melissa just snort laugh out loud, and she is like covering her mouth, trying not to laugh out loud, and I fucking love it. I could count on one hand how many times I've made her laugh like that, and it makes me so happy that Ass Garden was the one that got her. Oh my God, I love you, baby.
Is that like referring to a crack fro? or more like a treasure trove of buds?
You know what? I feel bad because the man in my life that made me want to play guitar, like watching him, like the guy that he was in my uncle's band since they were teenagers, and he was the most amazing lead guitarist I'd ever seen in my entire life, and he was one of the coolest fucking dudes ever. His name was Louis Baumgartner. He died of cancer years ago, but he was fucking cool as hell. So I don't want to be making too much fun of the ass garden.
That didn't answer the question, but okay.
No, I'm not gonna. As a little addendum, is it no? What's a little attachment to a reading material called? Is that an addendum? No, that's like something you add. What? It's okay. We stapled this onto the side of the paper.
That? I don't know.
You know what? You don't have to go to college to know things, Chris.
I never wrote a term paper.
Neither did I. I barely wrote fucking homework papers. The 2-year-old Joseph was rumored to be the son of Victoria and her father, Andreas, who may have had an incestuous relationship.
Maybe.
The plot thickens, but that plot is not the plot we speak about, so that plot can get all chubs wherever the fuck it wants, because we're going to leave it alone. So Hinterkaifeck was actually never an official place name. The name was used for the remote farmstead of the hamlet of Kaifeck, located nearly 1 kilometer north of the main part of Kaifeck and hidden in the woods. So the prefix of Hinter, which means behind, and then Kaifeck, meaning farmstead, basically. Meaning the woods, basically. So it's a farm that's behind the woods. So that's just the name given to the place. It wasn't like fucking goddamn brandished on a piece of wood and hung over the door or anything. This was in the outskirts of the town of Wangen, which is Wangen, which was incorporated into Weidhoven on October 1st, 1971. Take that, people who says that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Make 'em ups. Shut up. So
all words are made
now
up.
we get in. Well, yes, all words are made up. That's how words are words. So we get to the crime now, which is 2 made-up words that make up a thing that I'm very interested in.
So sorry.
And Chris can just keep coughing either because he is sick or because he has smoked too much marijuana today. You're in California. It's legal. It's okay to talk about it.
Coughing the demons out.
Demons be coughed. So a few days prior to the crime, farmer Andreas Gruber told neighbors about discovering footprints in the snow leading from the edge of the forest to the farm, but none leading away. He had also spoken about hearing footsteps in the attic and finding an unfamiliar newspaper on the farm. Furthermore, the house keys went missing several days before the murders, but not a fucking word of this was reported to the police. So, 6 months earlier, the previous maid had quit and left the farm. She claimed that the farm was haunted. And the new maid that had been hired, who was Maria Asgarden, she arrived on March 31st, just a scant few hours before her death.
Wow.
Exactly what took... Yeah.
Crazy.
No, that's luck is what that's called, Chris. That's luck.
Yeah, or the opposite.
No, luck does not inherently mean good.
Sure.
It could just mean that's your lot in life, man. That's what you keep getting dealt, you know? So exactly what happened on Friday of that day and year, fucking nobody knows, right? But it's believed that the older couple, as well as their daughter Victoria and her daughter Casilia, were somehow lured into the barn one by one, where they were slaughtered.
Wow.
Whoever the perpetrator or perpetrators may be, they then went into the house, where they proceeded to kill 2-year-old Joseph, who was sleeping in his cot in his mother's bedroom, as well as the brand new maid, Maria Baumgartner, who was in her bedchamber. On the following Tuesday, the 4th of April, some neighbors went to the farmstead because none of the inhabitants had been seen for several days, which was, of course, a bit unusual.
Not bad.
The mailman had noticed that the post from the previous Saturday was still where it had been left, and also young Kazilia had not turned up for school on Monday, nor had she been there on Saturday. So now we're going to talk a bit about what the police looked into.
Can I just
Inspector...
make mention of the...
yeah, please.
The, what sounds like a miniature RC motorboat in your background? This hairy little...
Oh, yeah.
Snorty thing.
Oh, no, I genuinely severely hope that my microphone is picking up sweet Penelope.
Oh, it sounds adorable. It does.
She is an itty bitty. How old do you think Penelope is, baby?
6.
About 6-year-old? 6-year-old French bulldog.
Yeah.
Who goes through her day and night, 24/7, sounding, whether she is awake or asleep, like she is snoring.
Yep.
She is also known for giving the cutest, has no idea where she's at and what the fuck's going on, smiles.
Nice.
And is the best. Oh, she'll look up at you like, "Hey, guys!" And it doesn't matter what the fuck's happening. It is a breath of fresh air.
Well, she's sound.
She's asleep now. She's asleep now on the couch. Outside, there's a little thing, but yeah, she's taking a little nizzap.
So for now, it is actually snoring. But even if she was awake,
she
makes the same noise.
Oh, the best thing about this dog is that like she'll hang out on the side of the couch or whatever, and she'll be looking at you and stuff, and then she'll just fall asleep to where you have to move her back a little bit because she'll fall asleep and fall off of the couch.
That's hilarious.
It's adorbs.
Right.
And then we have a decently new puppy here whose name is Madeline, shortened to Maddie, but I call her Cricket because I'm difficult. But so is she. She likes how fingers and toes taste. Fingers and toes. It's like goddamn chicken nuggets to this fucking dog.
Nope. No.
Yep.
I don't want it. You can keep it.
But adorable. She's sniffing around, peeing and pooping on stuff in the yard. So, Inspector George Reingruber, sorry, that means gold. That means Gold Gruber. So it's like the guy from Die Hard, but he was a Bond Gruber. This is Gold Gruber. And his colleagues from the Munich Police Department made pretty fucking considerable efforts to find out what the fuck, right? More than 100 suspects had been questioned through the years, but to no avail. Most recently, a questioning took place in fucking 1986. But,
wow,
was the best they could do. Was just, In 2007, the students of the Police Wait. Let me try that again. The Police Academy, but say that in German, because it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It is 21 letters long.
What the shit?
Police Academy in German takes 21 letters to spell. Fuck you, French Canada. So at the police academy, they got the task to investigate the case once more with modern techniques of criminal investigation. They came to the conclusion that it's impossible to completely solve the crime, and especially after so much time had passed, which kind of there's a lack of evidence because the investigation methods then were pretty fucking primitive, and in addition, evidence had been lost, and the suspects had all since fucking died.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, they came to the conclusion that they considered one person the main suspect. They will not directly name that person because they're just kind of doing that out of respect for that person's living relatives, since they can't technically have the guy fucking confess and shit. What good is it saying it was this guy? We're pretty sure, hey, we're students at a goddamn Polizeninforschungsschulen. Because that could ruin lives. I understand that decision making. But to this day, there are people out there that are still trying to fucking find out what the fuck. So the police had first suspected the motive to be robbery, and they had interrogated several inhabitants from the surrounding villages, as well as, traveling craftsmen and vagrants and sex workers. I threw that last one in there because I thought it would make things sexy. It didn't. It just made it sadder. The robbery theory was pretty quickly abandoned when a large amount of money was found in the house. So it's also believed that the perpetrator / fucking goddamn perpetrators remained at the farm for several days. Someone had fed the cattle and eaten food in the kitchen. The neighbors had also seen smoke from the chimney during the weekend, and anyone looking for money would have found it. So that happened after the murders. Someone stuck around, fed the fucking livestock, ate goddamn meals in the house, and set warm, toasty fucking fires with 6 goddamn corpses laying around.
That is a lot of work. And somebody else's house too. Like, who wants? I don't want to go over to your house and feed your fucking animals.
Yeah,
cooking
like,
for you in your house.
I'm sorry, but if I'm going to a farm to kill 6 people, I'm not gonna feed their fucking animals. I'm sorry. That might sound cruel to some of you out there. The animals didn't do anything. They don't deserve to die. I personally agree, but if I were such a person that would show up unannounced on a farm to murder 6 people, the youngest being 2 fucking years old, I'm gonna fucking let your animals die.
Yeah, pretty much. The last thing on my mind is would be,
Melissa just like slammed down something and is looking at me with eyes of vengeance and terror.
I wonder if the cows have eaten.
Animals are better than people.
I know animals are better than people. I literally.
The people deserve to die.
Hey, baby. Did you not hear my qualifying statement at the beginning of that saying I would absolutely feed the animals, but as a person that went there to slaughter 6 human beings,
No.
I could see. Really? You're gonna do this?
No.
Don't tell me to continue. This is my show. I'll continue when I want. Chris, I'll call you next fucking Friday. How about that? Zach Morris time. Fuck this.
Alright. Well, yeah.
I am gonna catch some shit when I'm done with this show unless I fucking make it up with another thing like fucking Ass Garden. I gotta fucking figure something out quick. That gave her a little smirk. I like it. So, the death of Carl Gabriel, the death of Carl Gabriel, who was Victoria's husband. He had reportedly died in the French trenches in 1914 in World War I. This was called into question because his body was never found. So maybe, but probably not. So on the day of the 5th of April, a court physician, Dr. Johann Baptiste, Al Mueller, had performed the autopsies in the barn. It was established that a pickaxe was the most likely murder weapon. The corpses were beheaded, and the skulls were then sent to Munich, where they were examined by clairvoyants.
Oh.
Without result. Yeah, you got excited for fucking nothing, because clairvoyants aren't real. So, suck a dick, Chris. The autopsy also showed that the younger Cecilia had been alive for several hours after the assault. She had been lying in the straw next to the body of her grandparents and her mother. And she had just giant chunks of hair that had been torn out of her head. So the 6 victims are buried in Weidhofen, where there's a memorial in the graveyard. The skulls were never returned from Munich. I'm guessing those clairvoyants have some pretty bitchin' ashtrays.
Yeah, or cereal bowls.
Quote unquote, they were lost during the chaos of World War II. And then close to where the farm was originally located, there's a shrine. The farm was demolished the following year in 1923. That is literally everything.
Wow.
Everything about Hinterkaifeck that I can let you know.
So either way, somebody is walking around whacking people in the nugget with the back of an axe.
Or the front of a pickaxe too, yeah.
But wait, now, a pickaxe is a wedge, basically, on one side, like crowbar style wedge on one side, and then like fucking like a needle, for lack of a better word. On the other
like a dull sickle on one side, and a wedge type deal on the other. So you either poking holes in somebody or you're putting gashes in them with the other side. There's no polite side to smash somebody with a mattock. There's just not.
No, yeah, no, okay. So I do not believe that this could have been perpetrated by the same person, but either way, damn. Like,
yeah, no, like if the one thing that would have completely fucking gotten me is that, if in Germany the mirrors had been covered, because they didn't need to cover the windows, no one was gonna walk by,
right?
But if the mirrors seem too specific, a thing to not do again, why do that once? Because otherwise. It's all whatever, it's all like, yeah, in these 2 cases, someone hid out in the house, waited for the family, fucking slaughtered every single one of them, and then just walked off into the annals of history.
This is crazy. That is
Annals.
Fucking whack.
Anally heinous.
Yeah, I think. Wow, it's really strange, and the list of suspects in the first case is just wacky.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is in the second case in the first case we went through 5 or 6 different maybes. In the second one there was nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, they're very connected, at the same time very fucking unsolved, and also very almost equally same time. What the fuck, man?
Like, what was that guy's fucking problem, right?
Sometimes you just got to, I guess, murder an entire family including the elderly and very, very small children, I guess. I don't
My
fucking
thing-
know, Chris.
My thing is always how much work goes into these things. You know, I mean, it's effort, it's planning, and even if it's not planning, it's still a lot of effort. You're still like,
I mean, the dude must have been in Germany for like a while living in their attic, right? He had a newspaper. Fucking the previous fucking lady quit 6 months earlier because she thought she fucking heard ghosts. And then when it was time to do it, he lured at least 4 of these family members, one by motherfucking one, into the barn to kill them.
that's pretty specific, too.
I
You
mean,
know?
it's maybe dude just was like a perfectionist, you know? Maybe he was anally anal.
Could be. Could be. The whole mirror thing, though, I feel like,
That still creeps me out the most.
I feel
What
like
did
that's
he
such
think?
a thing that is like signature or it's more MO than signature, because the signature would be, I guess, done to the body, and the MO being the situation, more so the situation. So, like that, but that's such a specific scenario for an MO that it doesn't seem like this was the first time such a person had done such a thing. You know what I mean? Nor would it be the
I
last
agree.
time if they weren't caught.
Absolutely.
For that one. So
Absolutely.
it just makes me wonder, though, like how many other situations or how many other serial murders perpetrated had the whole mirror covering thing as part of the case. Like, because
I mean, I had a feeling that if I decided to dig any further, because I mean, our show's not about giving you the fucking whole goddamn story. Our show's about bringing you a cool goddamn story,
or whatever we want to tell you.
right? And because I really feared that if I dug further, that it would kind of be an endless pursuit, which I mean would have just put this episode off for a while. So, you know, I brought you these two that because they were so fucking closely related. They sounded so much alike, yet there's so much different about it that, I mean, if it had to have been 2 fucking separate people at 2 different points in the world at 2 different points in time that just were fucking terrible human beings.
That's
like the
similar
end.
psychosis.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the best explanation we can give for anything. And, I mean, I hate to do this to you, buddy, but even with all the distraction we've had, this episode's running a bit long. So, I'm going to have to say thank you for listening to me walk around in your attic and drop cigarettes and leave newspapers. Episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
The UFOs, the conspiracies, ass gardens, and murder. Yeah, this is a good one.
Gardens.
I enjoyed it. And
It
I'm
was a
gonna
good one,
go.
man. It's cool. It's a cool fucking story.
I'm gonna say that in this case, ass garden refers to a fro in your crack, not a crop of asses.
I'm gonna say that ass gardens refer to just as kindergartens is a place for the kinder children to grow and learn. An ass garden is a school for ass-based prostitution.
Ooh. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You
I'm
gotta
gonna marinate on
gotta
that.
dig in. You gotta dig into the ass gardens, man.
I'm gonna marinate on that one a little bit.
You marinate on the ass gardens. I'm gonna say countdown. Melissa, since you've been sitting here, will you do the countdown with me? No.
Ooh.
She
She's
has been a
spicy.
peach. Spicy peach. Love it. 3, 2, and a middle finger up to you, God. Number 1. Night, children of the night.